Good day, everyone, and welcome to another show at Persian Power BI User Group. Today we have a great session with Greg. Hey, Greg, how are you, mate?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
It's great. Thank you so much. For those people watching this video for the first time, my name is Vahid. I'm the organizer of the Persian Power BI user group. It's one of the user group in Microsoft Power Platform. Actually, the name is Microsoft Fabric and Power BI user group. I didn't change that because we created that 4 years ago or 3 years ago. So I keep it same as that, but we have many sessions. We have many sessions about Fabric, Power BI, and in the future we will have more. My plan is to have at least one or two sessions per month, but sometimes one session, sometimes two sessions. And today the session will be about measure killer. My first question, Greg, is why measure killer? Why you want to kill measures?
Yeah, look, I mean, we get this a lot. Some people say, "Oh my God, it is a really aggressive name." People maybe are scared of the tool. Um, it was this this tool was born out of an accident, basically. So, a few years ago, we had a client project, and imagine they had a semantic model, a data set back then, um, where everybody was able to build measures for the data set. So it was a mess at some point, and business people and everybody started building stuff on top of it, and then we came in as outside consultants basically, and somebody said, hey, this is really messy, you need to clean this up. um, and so we had some problems with some tools that were available back then to find out what is used, and so and then basically we started building our own thing, and within a few weeks we had something that worked quite well. So and then we developed it further. We got some really good feedback from the community, but the name actually comes from a former colleague of mine, Martin. He somehow came up with this. I don't know if I should thank him now or not, because now we're stuck with this name, right?
It's a nice name.
Um,
It's a
at
nice
least you
name.
can remember it, right? So everybody
Yeah,
remembers.
yeah, that's a nice name actually. Killer of the Major. But this is great. And when that's happened, how long? When did you started to create this solution or this tool?
Yeah. So it was around 2.5 years ago, and actually one of my colleagues, he's really good in Python. He started to build something in Python, and yeah. So basically, 2.5 years ago, we kind of started with this, and now we're like three people working on it. A lot of time, a lot of our time. Basically, we have almost two full-time developers of the tool, so it got very
That's great.
serious.
Yeah.
Uh, we build all kinds of features that are really hard in Power BI. Everything that is really hard to do, we try to, hey, maybe we can do it somehow.
That's great. And yeah, and yeah, in last 2 years, we saw many features added to this tool. It's growing very fast, and that's
Yeah.
great because it I believe that it's covering those areas which we don't have any tools for that. Those
Hmm.
areas which we have business cases and business questions to solve that, which measures not using in the system, and we need to get rid of them. So when you start in those items, the first feature you created was just finding those measures, or no?
Hmm.
You created
Yeah.
this just for another reason, and then you added the new features to it. I just want to say,
Exactly. So,
my question
yeah,
is just sorry to interruption. I just want to find out what are the main features of this tool?
right. Okay. So the main features right now, I think it's basically two things. One is we can analyze a report and data set, and tell you everything, all the columns, calculated columns, all the measures that are used, but also the ones that are not used. And the ones that are used, we can tell you exactly where you're using that. You can use there on this page, in this visual, in this conditional formatting, in Power Query. We try to track everything. We try to tell you, if Measure Killer says it's not used, you can delete it and nothing will happen. That's the whole idea.
Nothing.
So we have also this feature for shared models. So we have you can select the model in the Power BI service. That's part of the premium version though. You can select the model there and it will get all the connected Power BI reports. It will get all the connected paginated reports. It will even tell you who is doing analyze in Excel on top of this model so that we get everything that is somehow important, pulling data from this semantic model. And then we'll tell you, okay, which part of your semantic model do you actually need? And we've seen 95% of the size of the semantic model unused. We've seen crazy stats that people have gigabytes and gigabytes that actually nobody needs it because
Nobody use it. Yeah.
it's not built in any report, so nobody is doing anything with it.
Yeah,
Of
and they're
course,
saving money. It's not saving the just size
exactly,
of the body. It's about
it's
money.
expensive. Yeah, we have all those capacities. We're paying for this. People upgrade, pay tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah,
per month. Why?
that's
Why?
very good.
Also, you're refreshing, right? I mean, the biggest benefit of cleaning up your model is probably the refresh time. Um, you also have some performance in the front end in the report, but yeah, all of this it costs CUs, right? It's the new
Yeah,
metric,
exactly. Yeah. So the performance of the report will be better. The maintenance of that will be better. So
right?
when you say it will analyze and read all the information for that
Hmm.
semantic model, which we call it dataset before, if we have some team report, that will consider all of those items as well, or no?
Yes,
Just those.
exactly.
Oh, that's really great. So
Yeah, and
whatever
even
connection that semantic model has, that will detect them.
that's how far we built it. Like we started, and maybe I can share my screen real quick.
Yeah,
Um,
let me add the screen here. Yeah, go ahead.
we basically started with this. So now I'm showing 2.5. This is still under development, so there are still some bugs here. But this is our brand new version that will be released before Christmas.
That's
Um,
great.
and we basically started by analyzing a single report. So this is also part of the free version. Anybody can use this, can get it from measurekiller.com. And here we started with analyzing just what you have in Power BI desktop, right? This is how all the other external tools work. So I click here, it's connecting to my local instance of Power BI. I run it, and then in this case, I say, oh, okay, I have 86% of the size of my report is used. I can see all the columns, all the calculated columns, all the measures, if they are used or not, and how often they're used. And basically, so this was the beginning of the tool. And for example, I can see the profit measure is the most used artifact, as we call it. And I can see it's used in 4
Yeah.
other measures and in 8 visuals.
And and that when you say that's use, that will consider using in visual, using in a filter, using in some measures, which those
Yes,
measures are connected to another measure, and
yes.
that measure using the visual everywhere.
Basically everything, filters, conditional formatting, visuals, of course other measures, calculated columns, relationships, but then of course also calculation groups, field parameters, column sorting, um, anything really.
So
There's
when it
some
said
very
just remove it, we need to remove it. We never
well,
use it in that report.
yeah, yeah, so the
That's
idea of course is that everybody has unused stuff. As soon as you start building a report and you import or you have a direct query, whatever, there is some things that you don't use and nobody knows. That's the problem generally with Power BI. It doesn't tell you which part of your model or which columns and measures you're using. Um, and then basically this tool is here to, yeah, I mean, kick it out. We have a best practice in Power BI, as of course you know this, that um, you only load what you need, right? But
Yeah.
nobody can do this because nobody knows what they will need. You don't know before.
Exactly.
Um,
And sometimes you load something using for the visual,
yeah,
you remove that visual, but you
exactly,
forgot to remove those data related to
exactly.
that one.
Yeah.
And then I think in my point of view, the most important part is the trust. Trust
Mm,
when it
yeah.
said not use and remove it. And this, as you showed and as you mentioned, when it said no, it's never used in this report, we
Mm,
can trust this tool and remove it
yeah.
without any side effect or without any impact on our report. And
Yes.
that's great.
It's not 100%. I want to be honest with you. It's not 100% because it's so complex and there are so many cases that we say 1 out of 1,000 times something will go wrong. Um, so
That's less than
yeah,
a 0.001%,
but
something
we
like that.
have thousands, we actually have thousands of people using this every day. So we get a lot of feedback and we have improved it a lot. We went from version, I don't know, zero point 0.3, version 0.5, all the way to here over years,
2.5.
um, investing thousands of hours. And also when we kill something, so here you can now see I want to kill a measure or calculated column. Those are the unused ones. If I do
Mhm.
this from measure killer, it will go away directly from my model. I can also get a C# script. I can show you how this looks. It just basically gives me this, and I can do it, for example, in another tool. Um, and when I remove something, I also can restore. So even if we kill something, it's not forever gone. I will have a backup. So everything that I kill with Measure Killer, it will be backed up on the computer where I'm doing this.
It
And
will be saved in that report, or it's
it
one
it's
functionality of the your tool.
it keeps it somewhere in a hidden
Okay.
folder.
Good.
And in my case, actually, you can set the path for this folder. So I'm using a OneDrive folder,
Yeah.
which is cool because now I have it synchronized through all my devices, and I can see on which device I removed something from which report or which model and when I did that. Um, and we can even share this across the team, like Klaus is killing stuff from this. So this is just keeping all the backups, and I can then put those measures back in if I uh, needed it later or something. So
That's great. So that's one of the main functionality of this tool. What else we can do with it? What are the other main function
yeah.
features this tool give us?
So this is just for the DAX stuff, right? The calculated columns and the
Yeah.
measures. But what about the Power Query columns? Those we cannot just remove directly. We can actually do this now with PBIP. So if I have a PBIP file, Measure Killer can generate a new PBIP file where everything is already taken out. But if I have a PBIX, um, I need to copy paste the M code. So we have some unused columns in this table, in the products table. And I can see that, or Measure Killer will give me the old M code, whatever is in the advanced editor, and it will add a step at the end where it takes out those unused columns. I will show you how this works. So I just copied this. Now, I hope I'm authenticated. Of course not. I'm never authenticated with the correct account. Sorry, because I use some different accounts, of course. So I have to log in with my Brunner BI account and maybe, oh, do I even have access to this? Hmm. Guess I don't have access to because I just removed all my permissions. But in the end, you can see that this is the current M code, and then I paste the new M code from Measure Killer, and it adds this step at the end where it takes out the columns that I don't need,
Yeah.
and then I can just close and apply. That's the idea.
So it
So
will modify your M code and give
yeah,
you the M code. You need to just copy paste it. If you
exactly.
have a PBIP, you don't need to do it. It will do it
Yeah,
for you.
yeah,
But if not, that code will be updated by that, by your tool.
exactly.
That's really
And
great.
it's
So
it's safe, right? So yeah.
yeah, and then when it only works with the desktop version, or can you connect this to the Power BI service and that will read the information from there as well or not?
Right. Yes, we can. So everything I do in Power BI Desktop, so those are the first two modes here. Those are for the developers. That all of that is part of the free version. And I just showed that we can also, I don't know, search all the M code like we just saw. I'm just gonna quickly, oh, I already closed my file. But so that is part of the free version. But then if I go into the Power BI service and I want to run on a model there, now it gets interesting, right? So first thing I need to do is I need to authenticate with my account. I already did this before our call, but so it just opens the authentication. I click on my Microsoft account, and then I will see all the workspaces in my tenant that I have access to, right? So we can
Okay.
analyze any model if it's in a pro workspace or premium workspace, it doesn't matter. Um, so if I select, for example, this Bruno BI project workspace, um, I can see all the models that are in there. And then I can basically select a data set that I'm interested in. So now I want to clean up or I want to analyze this weather data set. And this is one that has a lot of reports connected. So I click on next. It's also telling me, it also gives me some little warnings. Hey, there's a report in a workspace where I don't have access, like it's actually in a personal workspace. So it gives me some other information, but generally it seems like it found 4 workspaces where we have some kind of reports. I can just click on next. I want to search all of them. And now it's building up this lineage. And we can see that, whoa, there's a lot connected to my data set, right?
That's nice.
So I have all those Power BI reports in different workspaces that have a live connection to the model, or could also, well, it has to be a live connection actually, and also paginated reports that are pulling data from this model. And then we also have some composite models that were built on top of my semantic model. So we can analyze everything basically, and we get this little lineage here, lineage view.
That's great. So this feature is you can use it if you have the license for that. It's not for the
Yes,
free version.
yes,
So you have two versions of this tool. One is the
yes,
free version, which you
yeah,
can use it for the Power BI desktop, and then you have
yes,
a premium one, which you
yeah,
need to buy it.
yeah,
And how
yes.
much is that one? How much is the cost?
It depends a little bit if you're just like, for example, we're just like 5 people in the company. So for the smaller ones, it just costs like, I don't know, 800 Australian dollars per year for like the whole team. So it's not much. But the bigger companies, if you have like a capacity, premium capacity or something, it's costs around, I would say, 900 Australian dollars per user per year. So
Okay.
there is a certain cost, but um, yeah, you can just, most clients just buy like 5 or maybe 10 licenses, and then they have it for their most important people who are doing all this cleanup and also the
Yeah.
admins, right? We have a lot of features also for admins which we can take a look at later.
That's great. So before we moving to all
Yeah.
other features, and I know you have a great presentation, you want to show
Mm,
all of those features.
sure.
When you connect in those workspace, you said if
Hmm.
you have access to that workspace,
Yeah.
do I need to have a admin access to be
No.
able to do something or not?
We don't need admin. So we generally, the best access is contributor. With
Yeah.
that, I can already do everything. But what if I don't even have contributor? So there's also a way to run Measure Killer if you are a viewer. So if you are a viewer on the workspace, you can run it, but you need to have build permissions on the model. So viewer in
Okay.
in the workspace where we have reports plus build permissions on the model is the absolute minimum we need to run this type of analysis.
Yeah. And when you run it and you find, for example, 5 measures in that
Yeah,
model, which
yeah.
none of those items connected to it use it, that
Hmm.
will remove it directly from the Power BI service.
Well, we could do that. That would be an XMLA write operation.
Yeah.
We don't know if we want to do that, of course, but most people don't want to write to the model online. There are also some implications, as you know, right? We cannot
Yeah.
download the data set, but it's possible. Yes, it's possible.
So, but at the moment, it's just giving you a report. These items can be removed.
Yes, so let me run. So now I basically the idea was to select whatever is really important because we also have some stuff for testing. Maybe actually maybe this I'll take it out. So and then I say okay, those are only the reports that are really relevant for the production or whatever. And then I click on run. Um, and now Measure Killer is getting all the metadata for all those models and also the reports that are connected. And then again, I get basically the similar output as before. So now it says, okay, everything was successful. also the paginated reports, it parsed them successfully. And now I get again this output, oh, I have 70% used, which is actually quite good, but I still can kick out 30% of the size of my model. And again, just like here, I can see also, oh, this name column is used in those visuals on those pages in these on these reports, right? So all across the reports that I run the analysis, um, in those filters, also in a paginated report. And of course, all of this can also be exported to Excel or as a JSON and so on.
That's really great. That's really great. So I don't want to just
Hmm.
take the session with all of those questions. So I
Right.
over as a hand over to you. If you have any of those, presentation. I know you have a presentation to show all
Hmm.
of those features, and I know that there are some new features for this
Right.
model, this version, and you want to show it to us. That would be great, mate. I'm looking forward to seeing what
Sure.
we can do with this tool.
Yeah, but I'm also happy to answer any questions that people have in the chat or something.
Yeah.
That's completely fine. Um, so we add a lot of stuff to every version, and we release also a few versions actually per year, like 4 or 5, usually 4 or 5 bigger versions. Um, One thing that we added in the previous version is best practices. So you can see exactly which best practices are violated in your model. And also now we can export that. That's quite nice because before you're like, okay, I see that I'm doing all these things wrong in my measures, but then what? How do I fix this? Well, I need to fix it maybe using Tabular Editor. And then how do I get all of this, right? So either yeah, now basically we have this way to export those best practice violations, and also we have more export features in all the other tabs. Like I can just easily export all the DAX expressions, and this is also something really cool. I think we can get all the measures and calculated column expressions from the model, but also we get it from the reports, right? So we can also get the report level measures here, and we can see their DAX expressions, right? So that's kind of cool that I get basically everything from whatever I selected. Some measures could also exist only in the reports.
That's really nice.
Um, We also have a function to find duplicates, which is really cool. So here, basically, it's searching for exactly the same or for the same DAX expression. We parse out like white space and we take out comments and so on. But then if the expression is the same, it says, hey, you have 3 measures in this case that have all the same expressions. So they're duplicates in our view. What do you want to do about it, right? So yeah, these things we're constantly improving. We also have all the M expressions. So you can search where you're using, in which queries you're using a certain view of a data source, right? Now it gets interesting. If you want to change something in your database, you can find all of this. Um, yeah, so those are some things we improved. Also, we improved a lot in the logic, again, like always. Um, and We also have a completely new tab here called Report Results. This only exists in 2.5. And here we can see all the reports. We can see the pages, we can see the visuals, and we can see exactly what is used in a visual, which is interesting if you, I don't know, yeah, want to delete something, you want to change something, and so on. And here, of course, we can also, for example, see which filters we're using on a report level, and also the report level measures nicely organized. So this is something we're still developing. We haven't finished building this version 2.5 yet. And we will also see the bookmarks. As you can see here, my colleague put a little note for me. Don't worry, Gregor, it will be here soon. The bookmarks are not there yet. Um, yeah, so that's something completely new. And um, much requested feature actually is, hey, I want to remove the report level measures into my model. How do I do that? Well, so we have all the DAX expressions, um, but so far you had to do it basically. You can right click on a measure, you can, I don't know, see the expression, but also you can then copy a statement for DAX query view. And this is really cool because with DAX query view, I can, I'm not sure if I can do this here. Oh yeah, I could write a DAX query in the browser, and then that way I could put a measure into my model via the browser. So this is something really cool that we have now a defined statement for all the report level measures, so that basically I can do this without, what is the, here we have something that's not recognized. It's interesting. Maybe it's already, maybe it already exists. Um, yeah, but basically I can paste all the report level measures easily into my model and then just yeah update my model, and I don't need anything else basically to do this. So that's something new.
That's really good. That's really good and very useful when you can copy that from there and run it somewhere the other way, in it's probably a service, and that will be created those measures there. That's really
Right,
handy, and that's
right.
something users looking for a long time.
The only thing we have to be careful for is like some report level measures are not even used themselves. Like imagine somebody built the measure in the report, but then never actually used it in a visual or filter or something. So then maybe here actually we would have to take out the ones that are unused, because otherwise I would also put them in here. Um, so for example, would it be this one? Not sure. Or maybe it's the only the used ones anyway. I'm not completely sure. Yeah, but that's just one thing that is new. Of course, you can also run multiple models. So if you want to just, in the capacity metrics, oh, I have those 5 or 10 semantic models that are always creating problems. They're pulling so many CUs, they're draining our capacity. Then I can just run multiple models here and just run them at the same time and see how much I can save, how much I can use from my um, storage space, basically whatever is used from the
Uh,
model anywhere.
just before you move to the other feature,
Hmm.
one of the user asked here
Hmm.
about the best practices, and
Right.
then the question is it possible to export show descriptions of the rules?
Well, so the rules are not, they're a little bit explained on a Microsoft GitHub page. Let's see. Microsoft BPA rules. Let's see if we can find them. I think they're here. Yeah, this is I think the best one. I can maybe yeah, if you search for Microsoft BPA rules, is the one from GitHub. That's
Mhm.
where they explain what those rules, the point is. I have to say sometimes also some of the rules are not really that great, and that's why actually we also built a way for you to decide which ones you even want to include, because sometimes, I mean, they're just not very good at all, and maybe you don't want to use this rule because it's bullshit. Yeah, could be that. Um, but generally, we will also basically charge you a report. So I'm just gonna run the same thing I did before. Now I can run it also as an admin. This is just one other way. If I if I'm running it as a tenant admin, like Fabric administrator, Power Platform admin, those real tenant admin roles, that way I can find even stuff where I don't have access to, right? That's just one thing to be to watch out for. If you want to make sure nothing will ever break down when you clean up your model, you need to also either know exactly where all the reports are, or you run it as an admin, and then Measure Killer will find even if it's in a personal workspace and so on. But just real quick, um, going back to the best practices, I just wanna, yeah, we have like this internal rating. So if you, for example, if you it will basically tell you how good your model is. So now my best practices score is awful. it basically goes from Power BI Pro to Power BI Criminal. Power BI Criminal is really the worst. If you're a Power BI Criminal, I would say you're really doing something wrong. If it's in the middle or at the beginning, well, if it's like close to Power BI Pro and a low violation score, that is really, really good. But if you're Power BI Criminal, you're either, I don't know, like you have hundreds of measures that are messy. You're summing up so many columns by those are the default aggregations, like it's not great, but yeah, you have
Yeah.
100 bidirectional relationships, whatever. That could be basically some of the issues that your model might have. But then also here it says mark primary keys. Okay, yeah. Um, Relationship columns should be of integer data type. Well, yes, but not always. So that's why some rules also maybe are not that important. But we basically calculate this score. There's also this little info button. We take how often you violate a certain rule and we multiply it by the severity of the rule, and then we'll give you with the log in a complex way. But then basically we'll tell you, are you a Power BI Pro? Is it good? Is it okay? Is it poor? Is it awful? Or are you a Power BI criminal? So
Yeah. So before adding those best practices, they
mhm.
need to go and find that those codes and add it to your tool.
No, no,
Or
it's
not,
included.
those
Everything is
are
included.
included there. It's
Yeah.
already in there. Yeah, okay,
It's
perfect.
already in there, and in the main window, you can basically decide which ones you want to take out in case you want them.
Okay. Okay, got it. Got it. And that's for the whole using of this mode, this tool. It's not just for
Exactly.
this report, ignore these items, for this report, ignore that.
It's
Okay,
for
perfect.
everything, exactly, because we also can scan the whole tenant. This is one of the coolest
Mhm.
features that we have. Um, so here, and this is one thing, especially for the admins, for administration, for governance. I'm just gonna start to run this, and then because it will take some time, and then I can explain what this is even about. Um, Here also we have a best practice analyst, but imagine for all the models in my tenant. So I can see the score for all those models. Um, this is what we call tenant analysis. It's the one of the coolest things we've ever built, I would say. Um, this I
And
can either,
that will analyze, sorry, Greg, that
mhm.
will analyze all those reports you have access to them, or that needs an admin access, or that's for the admin people.
Right. So actually, it used to be for the admin people, but now
Mhm.
with the new version, we also have it for developers. That's the one of the
Wow.
biggest features in the 2.5. I'm running it now as an admin, but I could also run the same thing. Maybe we can do it at the end, running it as a developer, and then it just can scan all the models, all the reports, give you also the lineage for everything that you have access to. Um, but if I run it as an admin, I can just see, for example, also all the workspaces. How many workspaces do we have? How many models do I have in my whole tenant? How many reports? And the good thing also, if you're an admin, we can provide all the access that people have. So for example, now I can see that I'm with my user, I have access to 20 workspaces. I have access to 87 reports. And you can see exactly what access right I have. So of course, this is only something that is available to the admins. Even we can see the fabric stuff, right? I access to fabric items and so on. And then also, for example, if you using groups, which is a best practice, as we all know, you can see what a certain group has access to, right? And
And
enter
I
up.
can see there is an export button there. When you export it, it will be exported as an Excel and Excel file or not?
Yeah, so in this tenant analysis, we have all those tabs basically, and I can export, for example, all the access, which is everything as a JSON. We only have here in tenant analysis, we only have JSON because it's a little better because it can
Yeah.
be quite complex, the structure. Um, So yeah, we can export all the access, and this is from a user or group perspective, but then we also have, for example, the workspaces. Yeah, like who has access to which workspace. Um, I'm running the scan at the same time, and I'm using multi-threading. That's why this might be a little slow right now. I hope nothing will break down. Um, but yeah, then I can also I can show it to you in the. Do we have any questions or?
Yeah, there isn't one question
Okay.
here. One of the people I ask is,
Hmm.
do I understand correctly that if you are a Power BI admin, you can see all reports over the whole tenant?
That's correct. Even if it's in a personal workspace, if it's in a pro workspace, if you don't have access to, that's the whole tool. Like the whole point of the tool is that we can see everything. Like we can even see like personal workspaces and all kinds of stuff, right? That's the idea, that we don't miss anything. Like I'm just now showing this as a sample from um, the previous version. You can go into somebody's workspace and you see what they have inside. You can even see if somebody's sharing stuff from his personal workspace with other people, which might be interesting as well to see like what's happening there, because the personal workspace is such a black box. For example, if I search here for personal workspaces, we don't have so many in our tenant. Um, Now I can see all the reports in personal workspaces, and you can see those ones highlighted yellow. Those are people that it's not their workspace, but they have access to basically this report in this is actually really my personal workspace, and I shared it with Klaus, and he even has reshare rights. So we can also export this, of course. In this case, it would be an Excel export, but here you can find out what's going on underneath the hood. And basically see, yeah, what people are doing in your tenant, sharing with other people, or if you're just interested in who has access to what workspace. Like, let me just pull this up here while it's loading. I can see that we have those users who have access to a certain workspace and so on, or groups. If you're just interested in somewhere somebody could have access to, with the access
That's
rights
really
that we
cool.
have in the tenant.
That's really useful. So that's really, really useful because you can see everything handy in this tool. That's very useful for tenant, and you said even developer now have
Right.
access to that. So that's really cool as well. In terms of the other version, when the free version, when you say
Hmm.
we can analyze a Power BI desktop report, is
Yeah.
there any option we can add, for example, say all of the PBIX file in this folder, analyze them, or no, we need to open one by one and check it one by one?
Actually, there's a way to do this. Let me just open up my data set. So this second mode is also part of the free version. So the first two are part of the free version. I'm just going to run the previous 2.4 in parallel because I have this open
Yeah.
here. Um, so this way you can analyze a shared model with thin files connected with live connection. Um, the way you can do this is you open the data set. So you have to download the semantic model and all the thin files. You open the semantic model, you connect to it with Measure Killer. Just gonna go through this quickly. And now I can add the reports. So
Okay.
now I can, for example, add a thin file to my, let me see if I have this IMDb folder somewhere. Now I can add the thin files from the Power BI service. For example, this one, best movies. I can add that to this analysis and run, and then it will tell me what is used in those best movies from the Power BI service. So that way I can also analyze a shared model um, offline in the free version.
That's really good.
You can even, I think you can even drag and drop, you can drag and drop the PBIX files here, or I think we can also select a folder. Let me check this actually. IMDb. We have all those. Can I multi-select? I don't remember. Oh, see, can also multi-select. And now I have, those are connected in the Power BI service. Um, the limitation here is that it can only be Power BI files. I cannot add paginated reports and Excel files. If I want to add paginated reports, Excel files locally or whatever, that would be also part of the paid version. So I can I can basically only do it here if I have a license, the paginated reports and the Excel. But the Power BI files I can also run here with the free version.
That's great. That's really
And then I
great.
can see
So
where, in which reports whatever is used and so
um, I was thinking about the visual calculations, but
on.
I think there is no use cases. We need something like this because if the visual is there, so visual
Hmm.
calculation is there. If the visual is not there, so there is no visual calculation. But I'm
We have it
curious. Have you
actually.
ever find oh, you have it? That was my next question. So you
Yeah.
have that in there.
Yes, you can find, let me just run, actually I think I probably have it in the sample. Let's see if we have some visual calculations. Visual, not here. So we also have those sample, you can try out the paid features. Um, and now I'm just gonna, it's like built into the tool with our data, basically. Let me
Yeah.
see if we have a visual. No, but we have a category for is used in visual calculations. But of course, like you said, yeah, if I have it in the visual, then only then I can use it in the visual calc. But still, we want to point it out, so that's why we added it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good because when they scan it, they can see everything, even those visual calculation, and
Yes.
that's very useful because in some of those other reports or when you extract the data, those visual calculations are something you can't find it easily, but they're still showing that very well. So we have around 5 to 10 minutes,
Hmm.
Greg. Is there anything else, any highlighted items which we haven't reviewed? I know there are many features in this
Right.
tool, but is there anything major you want to review or show it here or not?
Yes. So something that is completely new in our version in the tenant analysis is row level security. Oh no, I don't have anything here. Let me see. I have to run. We don't have row level security and everything. So we have a workspace for row level security testing. So we imagine we can get something I think that nobody can get. That's why that's what we try to do with Measure Killer. I can get all the models in my tenant that have with row level securities. I can see the roles, I can see the expressions, and I can see who is assigned that role. Look, it's pretty cool, huh?
That's really great.
Yeah. So
That's great.
so that's way you can track basically row level security on the whole tenant with all the models, and you can see exactly which users or groups are assigned. That's completely new. This will be in 2.5. It's not in the current version.
And that's part of the paid version.
This is all part of the paid version because we're doing a lot of stuff here in this tenant scan. Um, we also, we show you the whole lineage, like this model is using this data flow and it has those downstream models, those reports connected and so on. Um, we have a list of all the semantic models. This is really one of the coolest things, I think. You have all the semantic models in your tenant. You can see the size, how many queries or tables they have, how many columns. I want to see like, whoa, this has 387 columns. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a Power BI criminal model. It was refreshed. So we have the refresh. We have a lot of stuff here just to give you a good overview of the tenant.
Yeah, and those color code in the right side, those are
Hmm.
the quality of that report, that model.
It's again the best practice score. I can right click
Okay.
here and see exactly where it was violated and
Yeah,
basically how we came up with this.
and that point can be changed if you untick or tick some of
Yes,
those items. Okay.
exactly. Then you will have to run it again to I think you have to run again. Maybe not actually. Have to ask my colleague who built this.
Yeah,
Um,
and
yeah.
can we modify those best practices? If can we add something if we want to define an
Mm,
item there or not?
that unfortunately not. That would be very complex for us. So right now we just take whatever is there and you can choose which ones, but you cannot
Yeah.
really make your own rules. Yeah.
But the list you're showing to me is very comprehensive, and I believe that 99.9% of items already covered there. And the good thing
Right.
is you don't need to do anything. Just take those items you want to include them in the best practice.
Mm,
And based on that, you can see all the models and then what are the points there. And you can say, okay, there are
right.
some reds. I need to spend my time on those reds more than those green one. And that's really, really good.
Yeah, it could also be like, imagine local date tables. My God, people are doing local date tables. I can find this on a tenant level, right? So now I have all the models here, see, with the local date tables. Auto date time, absolute no-no, or in
Yeah.
most cases at least. Yeah,
Yeah. And imagine how many of them we can find if you
exactly.
run this for the first time in your tenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
really cool.
we also have all the M expressions. So I didn't run on the all 800 models, but imagine you want to change something in your data warehouse, certain table or view. You want to see where it's used in any data flows or semantic models. You can just search for that here. It's a text search, so you need to be specific with exactly what you search, but then we will see where those table or view is referenced in any of the models. Um, and also we can do the DAX expressions. We can find the duplicates on a tenant level. So that might be a little crazy, and this will also take some time. But now, since I have like, I don't know, 100 models, it's quite fast. And then you can find all the measures that are duplicate all across the models in your tenant and so on. Yeah,
That's really good. And that will be comparing based on the DAX expression.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's
One
good.
more thing, maybe. We also have a list of all the reports. Here you can see the number of visuals and especially the custom visuals, because that way we can get all the custom visuals that are used in your whole tenant in any report. Could be security problems, right? Maybe they are uncertified. We actually also show you if a custom visual is certified or not. Uh, and so that way you
That's,
can analyze what you have right now.
and that's if a custom visual becomes certified, that will
Mhm.
detect that when you run it next time.
From that version on, we're basically always hard coding if a custom visual is certified or not. And then basically once it's certified, it won't be uncertified again. At least that's our assumption.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. That's
that's
correct.
how we're tracking it. Yeah.
But when it's uncertified and becomes certified, you will
Yeah.
track that. Yeah. Okay.
In the next, then in the
Okay.
next version, we will update this list
Yeah.
to add that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really, really good. So I believe that was the last
Yeah,
section you wanted to present here. Thank you so much, mate.
sure.
It was a great presentation, and there are million use cases for this tool, and that's a must at the moment because as a developer, I can say sometimes you are working on a model and you develop many pages. You try what if scenarios. You hold a meeting with end users, collect feedback, then adjust those visuals based or model based on those feedback. And sometimes you forgot to remove those, for example, measures you don't need them,
Right.
and you forgot. Okay, now I use this table. Only one column of that is required, but
Yeah.
I imported 100 columns. Why I need to do that? Whenever we're talking about these things, we're talking about the performance, we're talking about size of model, and those are exactly connected to your license and the money you pay there, because you can just share, for example, 1 gigabyte with the pro, then 100 gigabytes premium per user, and then 400 gigabytes, for example, with premium. But in that case, this tool is really, really useful. And just a question, I don't know it's your company NDA or now, but is there anything special you're working on, or is there something very special we should wait for that in a close future or not?
Well, so we're always planning like 1 or 2 months in advance because either we put it in the next version or we put it in the version after that. That's how far we plan because otherwise we don't know what will happen in 1 year. We want to move fast. So that's why for us, we have also looked at what that you can find out what is used from a data flow. That got really complex, and we thought it might take us months to build that. So for now, we're not really sure if we will do this or not. Also, I don't know if it's worth it. Do you think it would be worth it to see from all the data flows which entities, which columns, which tables are used all across the
I think
downstreams?
yeah, 100% is useful because
Yeah.
data flows are very, very common, items in my Microsoft
Mm,
Fabric and my Power BI, and many companies using that to loading data
mm,
in one. There, there are many people using that as a we can't call it data warehouse, but they call it to extract the data in one place and then connect everything to that data flow. So if
yeah.
we can find that how many of those columns have been used in all of those reports and which columns never touched, so
Yeah.
that really can improve the performance of refreshing that data flow
Mm,
or performance of that data flow in total. But yeah, 100% is useful. In my
mm,
point of view,
yeah.
is really useful.
Yeah, that is something we're still considering. Also, right now, Measure Killer doesn't work with PBIR because PBIR is still in preview. It's very new. They're changing stuff a lot, as you know.
Yeah,
Um, but that is also coming that we will include PBIR, of course, when it's about to be released, probably around that time. Um,
that's really good. Yeah,
yeah,
that's nice as
those
well.
are the
Yeah, that's
things.
good.
And also, a lot of people have asked us about automation, right? Can I run this weekly and put it? So we actually have a something for automating this yet. I built this myself in Power Automate. It's basically doing all the Measure Killer stuff and then saving the export somewhere. It's like a workaround. It's not completely um, like a like a script that you can run. It's basically a clickbot, but it is working, and that way we can also automate the Measure Killer output. We don't really have this in use yet, but a lot of people have asked us in the past, and we just wanted to see if it's
Yeah.
possible, and it seems to work. Yeah.
But at the moment, there is no plan to create a cloud version of the Measure Killer.
No,
It will be a desktop version.
there are pros and cons for that. The pros would be
Yeah,
that, yeah, it's easier to release new versions, to install, you don't need to install anything. But then there are also downsides. Suddenly we have to have a database. Suddenly we have to keep your data somewhere. People ask us all kinds of stuff. We
correct.
already get all those security questionnaires, but not right
Yes,
now we can say
security will be, yeah,
we don't have any data, we don't interact with any data, we're not tracking anything, we don't have any databases, nothing is stored anywhere, and it's all on your computer. So
secure,
that's like,
fully secure.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's easy for us. If we have online stuff, it's more complex.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great discussion, mate.
Cool.
I use Measure Killer not that much, but and after this meeting, I can say I know that tool very well now, and I know how many options we can use and how many features that will give us. The reason I didn't use that much is I'm working in a company. Installing any software is very hard. But if my personal computer is a must, I'm always using that. But I highly recommend that for all the developers, and I believe that many of them at the moment use that. Do you know how many users you have or not?
Yeah, it's in the thousands. It's in every day we have thousands, right? It's grew a lot, grew a lot. Yeah.
That's really good.
It's
That's really good.
around 1 to 2,000 per day. I can tell you that much.
Per day.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
A
Oh,
lot of people in Iran, even a lot of people like in countries where I thought like Sierra Leone, uh, not Mozambique, what is it? Somalia, like in places where I'm like, do they even have Power BI there? But apparently people have Power BI and they're even using Measure. It's crazy. It's crazy.
yeah, it's really crazy. So that's really good. Sometimes you think there are not that much people in some other around the
Yeah,
world using that, and you can see based on this data, they're using that. They
it's
are using
strong.
that in a
Yeah,
professional level. They need tool. They want to run it there, and that's great. And that's a good thing about this tool. How powerful it is. How powerful is your tool, and how powerful is Power BI at all. So
right.
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Greg.
Cool.
Great to have you here. Maybe in the future, based on those things you just shared with us, we can review the new version here. More than welcome here. But thank you so much, and thank you everyone for spending your time with us, and see you later.
خیلی ممنون وحید. I
Thank you,
wanted to
man.
add some Farsi.
You did it, Matt. You did it in a great way. Thank you.